tested positive for another drug that measured way higher. Greg had over 19 times the amount that would have caused him to stop breathing. So Greg's brother, Jerome, felt the death reeked of a conspiracy. For starters, he claimed that Greg hated and refused to ever take them. He didn't know why this time would be any different. Plus, Greg didn't leave a note. If this was over some romantic fallout, then why wouldn't Greg have expressed how he felt before his... Jerome believed Kristen could not be trusted. He actually lived with the couple in San Diego when they first started dating, and he had witnessed Kristen's problem firsthand. He knew what lies she was capable of, and her emotions in the days and weeks following Greg's death seemed disingenuous to Jerome, almost as if she had something to hide. And they discovered a few interesting details that seemed to support Kristen's theory, but also as well as Jerome's. Greg did prove to have high levels of clonazepam and oxycodone in his system, but he tested positive for another drug that measured way higher. Greg had over 19 times the amount that would have caused him to stop breathing. And what kind of person would have access to drugs like fentanyl? A toxicologist would probably have access. See, the truth was, Kristen had been keeping some pretty major secrets from Greg for several months before he died. A new employee had started working at the medical examiner's office. His name was Michael Robertson. Dr. Robertson became somewhat of a mentor to Kristen as they began finding ways to work more closely. And that turned into sneaking away from work for private lunches, where the two discussed how unhappy they were in their respective marriages. In May of 2000, Dr. Robertson asked Kristen if she would accompany him to a toxicology conference about an hour north. Suspecting that Kristen was pulling away, Greg tried to convince his wife not to go, but she told him it was important for her career. It was during that conference that Kristen and Dr. Robertson had sex for the very first time. And after that, their relationship skyrocketed. Robertson showered her with romantic gifts and love letters. Kristen schemed up ways for them to break up with their partners and run off together. But it seemed like Kristen couldn't deal with the pressure of the affair alongside her imploding marriage, because around the same time, Kristen began stealing large quantities of meth from the lab she worked at. Eventually, this led to, slowly but surely, Kristen's addiction returning, and this led her to smoke meth in one of the highly ventilated rooms at work. And by the time their first wedding anniversary came around on June 5th, Greg was still completely unaware that Kristen's drug habit had returned and that she'd been having an affair with a colleague.